Hello and welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about X-Men issue 3, the X-Men fight the Blob. And I've got to say, I've got some real problems with this issue from an ethical point of view. How they wrap this story up and how the story is instigated. Not cool. I'm going to say a real low moment in terms of storytelling here. But we'll get through the issue and see what you guys think at the end. And now let's take a look at issue 3 of the X-Men. And on the front cover, we can see that the main antagonist this issue is the Blob. So started off great, issue 1 with Magneto. Issue 2, we had the Vanisher, very forgettable. Very glad he vanished eventually. And issue 3, we've got the Blob. So Blob is a character that comes up from time to time all through the years up to modern day. So I'm really excited to see what his first appearance is like. So on this front cover, we've got the gang. Cyclops is firing at him. Angel's trying to lift him up. He's got hold of Marvel Girl. Beast is trying to kick him. He looks like he's having no effect. And I don't know what Bobby's doing. I thought it was like a paper aeroplane at first, but he's throwing some sort of snow projectile. But what the image tells you is it looks like none of this is having an effect. So the name, the Blob, that sort of makes you think that perhaps he can take anything that they can throw at him. And it certainly looks like that from the picture, doesn't it? So let's get to page 2 and see what's happening. So on the second page, it looks like they're back in the danger room. You've got Professor X. You've got Hank firing some projectiles up that Cyclops is using his beam to smash away. Now, he hasn't got his visor on there, which is interesting. I've not seen that before in this sort of setting. I would have thought he'd have his visor on. Bobby's getting in on the action, and so is Angel. I thought this was funny that Professor X says... your reaction time has speeded up. I don't know if that's the correct English there. I would have said it's sped up. I don't know. I'm here to be proven wrong, but that just jarred me a little bit. That didn't seem quite right. So there's a lot of information going on in this top panel up here. So Cyclops is called Scott for the first time. If you can recall, in issue 1, they called him Slim Summers. His name didn't get mentioned at all in issue 2. It was just Cyclops, and now he's Scott. So obviously, by the time they've got to this issue, they've decided to drop the Slim and go with Scott, which is so much better. And he talks about he's scared about how powerful his eyes can be, and even Charles is saying you're the most powerful of all. So that's really interesting, especially how on the previous panel I noted he didn't have his visor on. I wonder if that's a mistake. So I know that they drew the pictures first and then the words came later. I think there's been a little error perhaps, but I don't know for sure. And these panels, it looks like, I can't tell if it's banter or if they're really not actually getting on. So they're sort of play fighting, but it sounds like there's something to the words down here. I'm not sure they're all getting on as nicely as they should. And I should note up here, I'm sorry, I thought this was the danger room. It actually says the gymnasium. So I got that wrong. I thought it was the danger room, but it's not. So up here, it does say it's high-spirited teenage horseplay. So it is just bants, to be fair. And then through here, Charles is having Jean pull this plank of wood through these various puzzles, just honing her skills. What I really like in this page, though, is these bottom 2 panels. So you've got Charles saying, hold up, there's another mutant. This warrants my attention. Just hang on a second. And I think this is a great panel here. You just see his eyes in the city, and it tells you so much. You can see everything that's happening outside. And I really like how much that says, just with those 2 eyes in the city. So on this page, they're preparing to go and track down this mutant who, they're sort of treating it like a threat, but I don't know that Charles has actually said this is a threat, but he's detected this mutant. They're going to go out and find him. Here it says, I hope it's a female, just one just like Marvel Girl. Boy. God, these guys are horrendous. That's Angel talking there, but she can't get a break, can she, poor Jean? And they're all rushing round just to try and be the first one there to escort her. But Scott's looking glum and he's looking, he's like, he's brooding. I mean, it's so Scott. I love how straight away they have got Scott down to a T. He doesn't really change much from this, does he? Even the comics I read in the 80s, he's still quite glum walking around and lost in his own thoughts. But here, Jean wants to go with Scott, and the others can't believe it. Here, though, whoa. So Charles says he loves her. He's thinking it anyway. The one I love. I mean, how old is she supposed to be here, and how old is Charles? I sort of read things before that Charles and had a thing for Jean. I'd never really seen it, but here, yeah, I didn't. Yeah, that's thrown me a little bit. There, I'm going to have to keep my eye on see if this is a story that develops any further, or do they just leave it here in this issue? But anyway, everyone wants a bit of Jean. On this page, you've got Angel. He whisks Jean away from the rest, puts her in the car, and drives away, Playboy style. Hank even says, "He's the glamour boy of our select little group." Uh, what I've been saying it all through, but they only care about what's happening with Jean. But Scott's like, doesn't he realize this isn't a game we're playing? This is life and death. He is so serious all the time. I love it. It is pure Scott, and I'm delighted that even in these early issues, Scott is so Scott Summers. So here it looks like they still haven't worked out who the mutant is. There's some mistaken identity. So Bobby mistaken someone playing with a coin. There's someone up in the air that Hank thinks could be the mutant. I don't think it's going to be because obviously the blob doesn't fly. But let's see what's happening. But oh no, Beast was mistaken. It's just an advertising setup. But down here, Scott is getting close. He's told telepathically by Charles, "You're very near. Just watch out." And down here, he ruins a rigged game. I think that's really great. But here we are. Here is the man of the hour, the Blob, and they bring him out. And Scott says, "That's got to be him." And you've got Charles here lurking in the background with his eyes. Yes, it is he, the one called the Blob. So the challenge is $100 if you can move the Blob. No one can do it. I mean, I've got the benefit of hindsight. I know that one of Blob's powers is he cannot be moved. He's immovable. They also try shooting him and the bullets sort of not bounce off. That's probably not quite correct. He absorbs them almost and then just pops out. So on this page, Scott goes to have a word with Blob to try and recruit him, and he goes about it all wrong. I mean, he's in there. Have you heard of the X-Men? Obviously, Blob is not very complimentary of the X-Men, but the way Scott goes about it, they want to see him. X-Men don't take no for an answer. I mean, he's not helped his cause there. And then Warren turns up with Jean, and they're trying the good cop approach. But Scott butts in, "Let me handle this," and he fires his eyes on him and says, "It's time you learn some manners, Tubby." I mean, completely unnecessary from Scott, and I think he's going to regret this in a moment. So Blob agrees to go back to the mansion with the guys, and they all agree to test him. And here they go into a little bit more detail about how his power works. So I understand you cannot be moved when you place yourself on one spot. Let's see how true that is. And sure enough, the chains snap. But what I do like is, and I've always enjoyed this about X-Men, because as I was looking at that panel, I did think to myself, well, what's the physical? I mean, I know there's a certain suspension of disbelief when you are, watching or reading something superhero related. But I did wonder to myself, well, how does that actually work? I mean, with Warren, obviously has wings, Cyclops, yeah, his eyes are like portals. I could sort of buy into that, but I wasn't quite sure what was happening with Blob. But Charles explains, "Extraordinary. Yours is the most unusual power. The very molecules of your flesh react to your mental commands and seem to perform almost any feat you desire." So he is giving like a real explanation about how that is sort of physically possible. So I appreciate that they've gone that extra step there so they didn't have to do that. So sometimes characters fly in comics and it's never really explained. But here they've gone to the effort to just explain some reasoning behind how he's able to do that. And we are starting to see more of his antagonistic nature coming through. So yeah, I'm pretty terrific, right? So Bobby says this guy needs taken down a peg or two. I think that's for us as well, because obviously in written form, it's hard to convey his intent, his tone, but Bobby's interpreting that for us and saying this guy's, he's not the one, is he? We don't need him around these parts. He's brash, he's rude. And we're getting all of that from Bobby, aren't we, from his reactions? So the X-Men do not cover themselves in glory on this page. So first of all, Bobby tries to encase his foot in ice. It doesn't work. Bobby can't believe it. They extend an offer. And it's almost presented like he should be grateful. I've seen enough. I'm convinced you're a true mutant, as such I extend an offer to join the X-Men. Like it's something, it's like you've won the lottery or something, I mean, he's already said that he thinks we're a bunch of geeks. Thanks for nothing, Baldy, which it took me half a second. I thought it was really funny. But I'm better than all of you put together. But this panel's crazy. So this is unheard of. What? Someone's turning down the X-Men. This is absolutely incredible. How dare you? You've seen our identities. We cannot permit you to leave. I mean, I'll be honest. I mean, up to now, the Blob, yeah, he's kind of, he's rude and all, but the X-Men have been really horrible. I mean, if you didn't know better, you might think they're the villains because they've asked him to come to their place, didn't like his answer, and now we're saying I must drive this memory from his mind. I mean, the ethics behind that are what? God, I mean, a few words on a page. I don't know if the writers maybe understand the grapple with the ethics of that. I mean, not liking what he's got to say is one thing, but then to erase his memory, that is dark, actually. And I've got a bit of a problem with that as good guys. Erasing someone's memory because you don't like that they don't want to join your group is something you would expect from Magneto's crew, not these guys. So that is a real problem. So they try and stop him from leaving. They take him on. Jean pulls Professor X out of the way with her powers, and Beast tries to take him down. I mean, this was something I want to talk about with Professor X in the last issue, where the X-Men weren't getting the job done, so Charles turned up. Just like that, vanishes. He's had almost like a mind wipe in that issue. Why is he not able to, take Blob under his influence? I don't know if I've missed that anywhere, but he's not even tried to control his mind to subdue him. So I don't know if that's going to get addressed in a moment or not, but I just thought it was interesting that he hadn't done that. Because like I say, in most stories, there could be no story when Charles is really there, because you either have to nerf him or find a reason for him to not be able to use his powers. So now that he is in the room, I'm wondering, well, how has this been able to go on so long without Charles taking control of the situation like he did in the last issue? So Blob escapes, goes down the tunnels. This all seems a bit unlikely. A character of the size of the Blob can just sort of escape and hide in the sewers without them being able to track him. But it's needed for the story for him to get away, I guess. But at least Charles is man enough to say, I messed up. I thought I took it for granted he'd join us, but now he's not going to. He must not talk. And they are sort of conspiring now to drive the memory from his mind. I mean, the problem with this is it's not like Blob tracked them down or anything. They went to him. He was minding his own business in the circus. These guys, the X-Men, the heroes, they've created this entire situation, and they've really messed up. And now the shortcut they're going to take is wipe his mind. I mean, if they tried just talking to him again to see, in a calmer conversation, whether he might be convinced to join or keep the secret. I mean, they've been very antagonistic, the X-Men, in this issue. So they've really made a monster. I mean, the X-Men, oh my gosh, they've really messed everything up here. So they've actually created this monster in Blob. He goes back. I'm the boss now. I've realized how powerful I am. I'm in charge. And I know who the X-Men are. We need to get them. Angel comes and they try and fire him down. And I like this, where he talks about the time he spent in the danger room and he's upped his game. He's gained some XP. He's like leveled up. I think that's pretty cool. But wow. I mean, this is taking it to another level now. So Professor X has somehow created a device really quickly where he's going to now wipe the minds of all the people affected. I mean, this is mental. This is absolutely crazy. On this page, I like this panel in particular up here. So Angel's been dispatched. Get the rest of the crew together. We're taking him on. Here, this is the first time I've seen Beast more like the Beast that I know from future years. So he's holding the book with his toe. And Angel, although your colloquialisms are extremely colourful, they are completely unnecessary. That is, if he could almost be blue there, couldn't he? And it would fit right in with the 80s and 90s Beast that I know. So that character tweak looks like it's starting to take place there. So I'm going to keep an eye on that, see how that develops. There's a little back and forth here with Angel and Bobby, and out of nowhere, this giraffe comes through the window and starts licking this ice cream, whatever he's got. And it's complete bedlam now, look. So the freaks have turned up. Here's Blob, and they've come to confront the X-Men. On the next page, Blob orders them to break in. He wants the scientific discoveries. Is that a Blob type motivation? I never thought of him as being someone who was interested in something like that. But what I did notice is he's suddenly bold in this panel. And I thought had he changed his look, but no, because down here his hair's back. I don't know what's gone on there, so a bit of an error. But Cyclops stands in the way, fires his beam at them, gets them away. But they are starting to invade the house at other angles. These guys are shocked to see that someone's joining them on the tightrope. That's got to be Beast, surely. So on this page, Beast is fighting off these guys, and the way that he's talking, it follows through with what I said earlier about the manner in which he speaks. So this is now a point where he has been tweaked. So he is talking in that way where he says, and he's sometimes I struggle because it's so dense. So although I admit it's the most unwarranted cognomen for one as scholarly, as refined as I fancy myself to be. So he is talking in that tongue now, which I think that'll be Beast from now on. The bottom of this page is awesome. So up here, they're fighting these circus guys, and it looks like a to and a fro kind of battle. But Cyclops is cornered by this elephant down here, and the power of his beam, wow, it sends the elephant flying. Probably the best display of his power so far. What's good is, you would imagine that he would fly backwards from that force as well, but I guess his power doesn't work quite like that. It's just pure power coming at the elephant, and it's so powerful. It's not this elephant, not just along, but through the ground as well. That's a really great image. I really love that. So the battle's not going very well. Iceman is throwing his ice torpedoes. I thought they were paper airplanes on the front cover, but that's what they are. And these guys have somehow got these really big coats out of nowhere to combat his freezing powers. They've got him surrounded basically now. But Charles is watching out the window, and he's got this crazy device he's made, and it's time for me to use my brain. So it looks like they're getting the best of the X-Men until Scott breaks free, and it's time for a showdown. As I'm reading that panel, I'm getting almost as excited. I'm like, come on, Scott, come on, show us what you can do. And it's that same old thing, isn't it? So Blob, yes, he can't be moved, but the ground beneath him can. So Scott fires into the ground, and it sends Blob flying. So it looks like the X-Men are starting to turn the tide. So Angel looks like he's going to be breaking free, is he? I can't really see. But Beast overcomes this gorilla guy, and this is absolutely mental. I mean, in the middle of the fight, they're they're making a human pyramid. It's such a farce. It's ridiculous, but it is what it is. So the X-Men have been defeated. I mean, I can see Blob doing it, but it seems crazy that the X-Men are sort of overpowered relatively easily. I thought they were turning the tide in the last page, but not to be. Down here, they threatened to melt Iceman Bobby Drake. I don't think it quite works like that. I mean, he could just turn into human form. I don't know he can be melted like a snowman in future editions anyway. I mean, obviously in this issue they thought so, but that doesn't quite hold true to later editions, I don't think. But they break in, and Charles is sat waiting for him. So let's see what he's got in store for them. Jean removes the blindfold with her powers and gets a knife flying through the house to cut. I don't know. It's a bit silly, this knife flying around the house, but she uses it to untie herself and freeze the others. They've got Professor X cornered, but they meet a block of ice. I'm not sure what's going to happen. Here we go. Let's find out. So it took me a couple of reads to figure out what was going on up here. So they've ended up on this canvas, and I think Jean Grey's lifted it up and wrapped them up in a ball, except Blob. And they're trapping him in this hole, and they're going to try and finish off these guys here. And on this last panel here, they finally subdue the guys from the carnival. Cyclops corners them with a low intensity beam, which is awesome. He's got them pinned. And then finally, Professor X, he wipes their minds of the events of the day, I guess. Just really dark. I mean, look, even his eyes just look horrible. I'm interested to know what people think about the ethics of this. So first of all, it's a bit too easy as a win. So, I don't think they've learned good lessons as heroes. There's been no sort of trials and tribulations there. They've not overcome the problem in an honourable way. If I don't know if I'm explaining that very well, but the fact that Professor X can just sort of stop them all in the tracks and just wipe their minds is a bit cheap, first of all, but also the ethics of wiping someone's memories because. And don't forget, Blob didn't ask for this. They approached him. They Scott was rude to him, brought him back, and from Blob's point of view, I can imagine that these guys have been quite antagonistic. And when he has the audacity to say, no, I don't actually want to join the X-Men, they decide they're going to wipe his brain, wipe his mind. That is not cool, honestly. So we've got a bit of a problem with how this issue's gone. It's a better issue than issue 2 with the Vanisher. I really did not like that one. This isn't as good as issue 1 with Magneto, but it's a step in the right direction for sure. And obviously, Blob's a character that's going to come back again and again, and we're starting to see the team. Some things are working, some things aren't working. I appreciate they're not just the top dogs straight away and making mincemeat of every enemy they come across. They're pretty, even Blob is overpowered them here. So that's 2 issues in a row that Professor X has had to get them out of trouble. So it's interesting to see that they are still developing as a team, and that's really good. So I'm excited to see what happens in the next issue, issue 4. So let's take a quick look at the front cover. And issue 4 is back. I can already tell this is going to be a great issue. I've seen this cover so many times. So we've got the evil Brotherhood of Mutants. So that's Toad, Scarlet Witch, but she's green, and we've got Quicksilver there. I'm not 100%. I should know who that is, I think, but I actually don't, and I'm probably get a load of grief in the comments for that. That is not someone I instantly recognise. But they've got the X-Men down here, and it's a really great image because they look like they're towering over the X-Men, and it looks like they're playing with them. So that's going to be a really great issue. So definitely come back for that one. And I look forward to seeing where they go with that issue. But as for issue 3, yeah, it's got its problems for sure, but it's definitely a marked improvement over issue 2. So what did you think? Did you have similar ethical concerns like I did? Or do you think that they were perfectly warranted? I can't see how that is the case, but I'd be interested to get your guys' thoughts. But as always, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you for the next video, issue 4 with the evil Brotherhood of Mutants. Thank you.